Hi everyone, my name is Candy Tayor and I will report about the Mtb-Mle K-12 Curriculum Guide Mother Tongue in Grade 1 to Grade 3. In K-12, basic education curriculum has Learning Area Standard. Learning Area Standard uses mother tongue appropriately and effectively in oral, visual and written communication in a variety of situations and for a variety of audiences, contexts, and purposes, including learning of other content subjects and languages, demonstrate appreciation of various forms of literacy, genres, and take pride in one's cultural heritage. So, in mother tongue, the K stage standard in K grade 1 to grade 3. By the end of grade 3, the students will enjoying communicating in their first language on familiar topics for a variety of purposes and audiences using basic vocabulary and phrases, read L1 texts with understanding, and create their own stories and texts in their L1. And grade level standards key, the learner demonstrates skills and strategies in phonemic awareness, alphabet knowledge and sound letter, correspondence decoding, vocabulary, and comprehension of they enjoy listening and responding to a variety of texts in their mother tongue. Grade level 1, the learner demonstrates basic communication skills in talking about familiar topics using simple words and both verbal and nonverbal cues to understand spoken language, show understanding of basic vocabulary and language structures, reading processes, writing system, and appreciate aspects of one cultures. So, in grade 1 grade level standards, the learner demonstrates knowledge and skills in listening and communicating about familiar topics, uses basic vocabulary, reads and writes independently in meaningful contexts, appreciate his or her culture. So, there are domain, content standard, and performance standard. In domain, your oral language, the content standard, the learner manifests beginning oral language skills to communicate in different contexts. In performance standard, the learner uses beginning oral language skills to communicate personal experiences, ideas, and feelings in different contexts. In grade 1, there is phonological skills. The content standard, the learners demonstrate understand that words are made up of the sounds and syllables. In performance standards, the learner uses knowledge of phonological skills to discriminate and manipulate sounds patterns. In grade 1, there is book and print knowledge. The content standard, the learner demonstrates the understanding of the basic features of the book and how print works as a precedent of the reading. In performance standard, the learner demonstrates knowledge and understand of the organization of basic features of print. So in grade 2, grade level standard, the learner demonstrate communication skills in talking about variety of topics using expanding vocabulary. Shows understanding of spoken language in different contexts using both verbal and nonverbal cues, understands and uses correctly vocabulary and language structures, appreciates the cultural aspect of the language, and reads and writes literary and informational texts. So in domain, content standard and performance standards. So in the oral language content standards, the learner process developing language skills and cultural awareness necessary to participate successfully in oral communication in different contexts. Performance standard, the learner uses developing oral language to name and describe people, places, and concrete objects and communicate personal experiences, ideas, thoughts, actions, and feelings in different contexts. Phonics and word recognition, content standard, the learner demonstrate knowledge of and skills in word analysis to read, write in cursive and spell grade level words. In performance standards, the learner applies word analysis skills in reading, writing in cursive, and spelling words independently. In fluency, the content standard, the learners demonstrate the ability to read grade level words with sufficient accuracy, speed, and expression to support comprehensions. The performance standard, the learners reads and sufficient speed, accuracy, and proper expressions in reading grade level text. So in composing the content standard, the learners demonstrate the ability to formulate ideas into sentences or longer texts using conventional spelling. In in performance standard, the learners uses developing knowledge and skills to write clear and coherent sentence, simple paragraphs, and friendly letters for a variety of stimulations materials. So in grammar awareness, the content standard, the learners demonstrate understanding and knowledge of language, grammar, and usage and when speaking and or writing. So in the performance standards, the learners speaks and writes correctly and effectively for different purpose using the basic grammar of the language. So vocabulary and concept development, the content standard, the learners demonstrate expanding knowledge and use of appropriate grade level vocabulary and concepts. So the performance standards, the learners uses expanding vocabulary, knowledge, and skills in both oral and written forms. So on listening comprehension, the content standards, the learners demonstrate understand of grade levels, literary and informational texts. So the performance standard, the learners comprehends and appreciates grade level narrative and informational texts. Reading comprehension, the content standard, the learners demonstrate understand of grade level narrative and information texts. So in the performance standard, the learners uses literary and narrative texts to develop comprehension and appreciation of the grade level appropriate reading materials. So in the attitude towards reading, the content standard, the learners demonstrate positive attitude towards language, literacy, and literature. So the performance standard, the learners values reading and writing as communicative activities. So on the last, study skills, the content standard, the learners demonstrate developing knowledge and skills and strategy to listen, to read and write for specific purposes. So the performance standard, the learners uses his developing knowledge and skills to listen and read and write to specific purposes. So in mother tongue, so grade 1 to grade 3. So grade 3, grade leveling standard. The learner demonstrate communication skills in talking about variety of topics using expanding vocabulary, shows understanding of spoken language, and different contexts using both verbal and nonverbal vocabulary, language structures, and cultures aspects of the language, and reads and writes literary and informational texts. So in grade 3, their oral language. So, content standard, the learner possesses expanding languages, skills, and cultural awareness necessary to participate successful in oral communication in different contexts. So, performance standard, the learner has expanding oral language into name and describe people, places, and concrete objects, and communicate personal experiences, ideas, thoughts, and actions, and to feelings in different contexts. So in fluency, the content standard, the learners demonstrate the ability to read grade level words with sufficient accuracy, speed, and expression to support comprehensions. So the performance standard, the learners read with sufficient speed, accuracy, and proper expression in grade level text. So in grade 3, spelling. So the content standard, the learners demonstrate accurate spelling in grade level words. So the performance standards, the learners spell grade level words with accuracy. So in composing, the content standard, the learners demonstrate the ability to formulate ideas following the conventional format or patterns of written languages. So, performance standards, the learners use expanding knowledge and skills to write clear sentences, paragraphs, short stories or letters, and poems from a variety of stimulus materials. Phonics and word recognition, the content standard, the learner demonstrate knowledge of the alphabet and decoding to read, write, and spell words correctly. The performance standard, the learner applies grade level phonics and word analysis skills in reading, writing, and spelling words. In fluency, the content standard, the learners demonstrate the ability to read grade 1 level text with sufficient accuracy, speed, and expression to support comprehension. The performance standard, the learners read with sufficient speed, accuracy, and proper expression in reading grade level text. In composing, the content standard demonstrate the ability to formulate ideas into sentences or longer texts using the developmental and conventional spelling. In performance context, the learner using basic knowledge and skills to write clear, coherent sentences and simple paragraph based on a variety of stimulus materials. In grammar awareness, the content standard, the learners demonstrate awareness of language, grammar, and usage when speaking and or writing. The performance standard, the learners speaks and or writes correctly for different purposes using the basic grammar of the language. In vocabulary and concept development, the content standard, the learners demonstrate developing knowledge and use of appropriate grade level vocabulary and concepts. The performance standards, the learners uses developing vocabulary in both oral and written form. Listening comprehension. The content standard, the learners demonstrate understanding of grade level narrative and informational text. The performance standards, the learners comprehends and appreciates grade level narrative and informational texts. So in reading comprehensions, the content standard, the learner demonstrate understanding of grade level narrative and informational texts. So in the performance standards, the learners uses literary and narrative texts to develop comprehension and appreciation of grade level appropriate reading materials. So in attitude towards reading, the content standard, the learners demonstrate positive attitude towards language, literacy, and literature. The performance standards, the learners values reading and writing as communicate activities. So, and the last, grade 1 level standards, the study skills. So, content standard, the learner demonstrate basic knowledge and skills to listen, to read and write for specific purposes. So, in performance standard, the learners lessons, reads, and writes for specific purposes. So in the grammar awareness, the content standard, the learners demonstrate expanding knowledge and understanding of a language, grammar, and usage when speaking and or writing. So the performance standard of grammar awareness, the learner speak and writes correctly and effectively for different purposes using the grammar of the language. So vocabulary and concept development, the content of and the content standard, the learners demonstrate expanding knowledge and uses of appropriate grade level vocabulary concept. The performance standard of the vocabulary and concept development, the learners uses expanding vocabulary, knowledge, and skills in both oral and written form. So, the listening comprehension of the uh, content standard, the learner demonstrate understanding of the grade level literary and informational texts. The performance standard of the listening comprehension, the learners comprehends and appreciate grade level narrative and informational texts. So, content standard of the reading comprehension, the learners demonstrate understanding of grade level literary and information texts. The performance standard of reading comprehension, uh, the learners comprehend, appreciate grade level narrative and informational texts. So, attitude towards reading. The content standard, the learners manifest positive attitudes towards language, literacy, and literature. The performance standards of the attitude towards reading, the learners sustain love and appreciation of language, literacy, and literature. So, the last, the study skills. The content standard, the learners demonstrate expanding knowledge and skills to listen, to read, and write for specific purposes. the performance standards of the study skills. The learners has expanded knowledge and skills to listen, to read and write for specific purposes. So that's all. And thank you.